I have some exclusive content from
Uh-oh.
inside that quadruple homicide murder case in the New Jersey courtroom of Paul Canaro. We have a new correspondent, Michael Bryant.
Yeah, and I can't wait to bring him into the mix. Yeah, so not the home studio. This is, of course, somewhere in Massachusetts. Massachusetts, and excuse me, I went to the waterfall for the waterfall burger. But we have more to talk about with the big hearing coming up tomorrow.
Justice, where are you? Michel and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
The world is justice. Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
Justice when we see it. To be and down, I lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener Recuse, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
So welcome to Massachusetts. You know, today, and when I went to the Waterfall Bar, and I mentioned in a little post before to talk about what we're going to cover tonight, every time I've come up here for the last dozen times, I go right to the Dedham Courthouse, and I haven't been to Canton, even though they're sister cities right next to one another, part of the Trilogy of Terror with Stoughton. And so I thought it would be nice to come here, and primarily because it was 4 years ago that the Waterfall Bar was the last place that John O'Keefe and the gang were prior to what happened at 34 Fairview. So I wanted to go in there and, have maybe a burger in his honor.
Right. And we should have a moment of remembrance for him.
Are we doing that now? Or
I think we just did it.
Okay. And so I was also curious just to be the proverbial fly on the wall, sit there, have my burger and have a beer and listen to what the talk was, because, you go back April, May, June, we know what the talk was. And it was like normal folks talking about, one guy, his mom's having to deal with some cancer. Everybody's talking about the weather and how much snow they had to shovel. Others are talking about the Pats, who are obviously going to the Super Bowl. And so, it was like a normal thing. Nobody obsessed with, the things that we in our bubble, true crime bubble, are obsessed with. I do have something for you let me see if I can do this. I don't have my second screen, so you know how it makes me challenged.
I know.
If you are going to go to the Waterfall Bar at some point, hold on. I know I got it here somewhere. There you go. I just took a quick shot of the
wow.
Specials, and so you can kind of see. Let me put my specs on here. You can kind of see some of the basics. Horribly framed shot. Who did that? Jalapeno
but
poppers.
Apparently really good, right? The food's really good.
It's amazing. I'm it was very filling, and it's great bar food. But check this out. They have a lot of trivia nights too. Trivia. Check this out. Let me see. I don't know if I can grow it without my other screen. But look at the desserts. Can you read that? What this first dessert is listed there?
No.
Hard to tell, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Turtle
cheesecake.
Turtle
cheesecake. Yes, I can read that. As a matter of fact, you know what I can do, Michael Bryan?
Can you grow that?
I can actually know what I can do is take a screenshot of that, and then I can bring that screenshot right in, to you. If I can find out what I do with the screenshot. Here it is.
Wait, hold on a second.
Here it is. I got it. You got to remove. Oh, you got it because you got to remove.
I'm on a second screen here, so I've moved it over. There we go. Look at that.
Okay, look at that. Look at that turtle cheesecake. I love it. Did you have it? Because I'd love to know. I'd love to.
I did not have it. I asked, so what's the turtle cheesecake? And I just got kind of a wry smile. So maybe, I don't know, maybe my agitator hat tipped her off that I wasn't so unaware of what it might be as I tried to sound. Anyway,
as everyone knows, Aidan Kearney is a client of mine in a New Jersey matter, which I do not expect to come up in court tomorrow at all. But one never knows with this case. Know. Okay.
We have some stuff though. Let's do some stuff. Before we get into the reason we're here, I hear we have special correspondent.
Yes, just remind you that the Paul Canero quadruple homicide is continuing in Monmouth County, New Jersey. That's actually a back picture of the courtroom. We don't see this too often, how the courtroom's laid out. The jury obviously is on this side. Look at the size of that screen that they now have on the
Yeah, it's
left
like
there,
going to the drive-in.
right? Yeah, and then there's obviously a screen up here, and Paul Canero is seated over here to the left, right next to the screen. And
You can tell
also
he's wearing a sweater. He's the only one wearing a sweater.
he's wearing a sweater. And today on the stand was the I don't know if you can see that a little bit.
It looks
Again,
like
that's not framed.
clothing. Is that
Yeah,
clothing?
it's I don't want to go too far into it because it shows bullet holes
Okay.
and it's the clothing of Keith Canero, and I mean the state has to prove whether it is the jacket of Keith Canero, but I think that was pretty well given. And the crime scene, the lab person was testifying. She was actually very good, and the reason why we know she was very good is because we have a new Justice Serve TV correspondent, Charles Giuliano from Monmouth County, New Jersey, one of the great trial lawyers who knows everybody there, has been covering the case for us. He's been on this show. I'll try to post a couple of the shows that in our chat as we go along, so you can go back and look at them for the Paul Canero case. But he had some inside, but really wasn't inside information. He actually went up to people and took his new role where he was acting. By the way, there he is. You see him in the back there. You see him back
there he
there?
is. I see him hiding.
Yeah,
hiding
to
back
the
there.
left there. He's that's the best shot I could get. To look at that is the prosecutor, one of the prosecutors. But he spoke to the lead prosecutor who is trying the case, the trial prosecutor, Chris Decker, to find out when this case will be closing up. In other words, when the prosecution may rest. And we have some new exclusive information. The prosecution has said to Chaz Giuliano, only to him, because no one else has interviewed him on this, that by the end of next week, they will be finished, and they may even wrap up in the middle of the next week. But they can pretty much guarantee that at the end of next week, the prosecution will rest their case. All right. And then even more, he decided to go and, as a member of the media for Justice Serve TV, speak to the public defender, not the public defender trying the case, but the head public defender of Monmouth County, to ask the question: is Paul Canero going to testify in his own defense? And the answer he got was that it is not likely. Okay, that does not rule it out. But I think those two pieces of information, that the prosecution intends to rest next week, that Paul Canero is not likely to testify in his own defense, suggests that possibly the week after, the week that you are away on assignment, will be closings in this case, and possibly a verdict. But it does give you next week, if you would like to go down and see the different crime scenes and look at them and bring them forward. And I was supposed to be down there today with Chaz, going to the courtroom and then having lunch with him. But due to some things that happened up here in New York, I could not make it. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, so maybe next week, and then I can take a look at that jury and go visit the homes. We know they're about 30 minutes apart,
right.
But we'll see.
Now on the jury,
pencil.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the jury. The jury has 3 black jurors on it. It's a little more diverse than he initially thought when he took a really good look at them today. There are a couple of young people on it. He said today, unlike the other days, today this jury was really involved with the testimony from both, mostly the woman from the crime lab who went over the various evidence and all. There was also a detective on the stand. But he said they were fabulously interested. So that's something that yesterday we heard, or when we talked about, we heard yawn.
Major yawning going on.
Yawning, yeah.
I watched the end as I was coming up. I'm listening to it, and it was Ms. Mastalone, who has a way about her, and obviously a lot of her questioning led to stoppage and explanations and sidebars, but she did touch on something of substance for the defense, and that was Corey, the brother, right? Corey Canero is this apparent third-party culprit. It's very unclear.
According to the defendant.
Of course.
Some other dude
it's not the prosecution. Yeah, some other dude did it, and he's the other dude. And this is the first time he's really been talked about, and he was talked about with the detective in the context of the trust. There was a trust to which he was going to share in. So she's trying to create motive for him to have been the one that actually, did the murders. Didn't go very far. At least hung it out there. The detective had acknowledged that no, he knew about it at the time of and prior to the murders. Interesting point, and this is Mastalone is something. She starts asking the detective what he learned from Corey when he interviewed him. But she made a point of saying, because she's brilliant, now don't tell me what he said, because that would be hearsay. So when you talked to him, were you told that he knew about the trust? So she educates us on what the hearsay is and then tries to get the hearsay out of him. Prosecution didn't do anything because it was harmless, really.
Yeah.
But the point that she had to say, how don't tell me, that's going to be hearsay. But so what did he tell you about the trust?
Yeah,
Anyway.
and the reason why they had that some other dude did it, there was a shadowy figure. The jury heard this week about the generator around the Keith Canero's house, and how it was like cut, power was cut to it. So if the power went out, the generator wouldn't work either. And there's a shadowy figure, and you can't tell who it is. So they're saying, the defense is saying that who it is Corey. Whether Corey is going to testify or not, for the prosecution, that's something that we have no information on. But I will tell you that there seems to be a view that there's a lot of evidence in this case that it only points to one person, that there should be a conviction. However, there was a famous case in Monmouth County, actually Ocean County, New Jersey, called Marshall. He was a man who killed his wife. He lured her to the side of the Garden State Parkway and then had hit people kill her for the insurance money. And Chaz also decided to seek out people who had high-profile cases in Monmouth County and Ocean County to talk to them about what it's like. And what he found out is what the prosecutors are usually most scared of is that if they have a non-losable case, or something that there seems to be that they can't, there's so much evidence they can't lose it, that they can lose it. There's one juror that thinks there's reasonable doubt. And I did see in the chat one person saying, because I was following the court TV chat, that I don't think they've proven the case. That's
interesting. Well, that's why we play the game, as they say. And those cases are the ones people call slam dunks. There's really no slam dunk. There really isn't.
No. And speaking about slam dunks, before you go on with our show tonight, let me welcome again. Nice. She joined Michelle, your Bell 17. I think she was in your members only.
We're in the book club. Yep.
In the book club yesterday. New member here is Decala 2. New member, and thank you very much for becoming members. You can subscribe, share, like, and notify. Join the membership. We've been doing a lot more of that. There were 2 members only this week that we will then put up for. You'll get, you get 4 or 5 days in advance. You get to hear, see, see things from us that you don't get, and other things that we're doing as members.
And we're doing them live, which allows some interaction with everybody, which is kind of fun. I found something that I forgot to get into when we were talking about what we covered this last week on the members first. Was it was the big Karen Reed motion by the House defendants, Commonwealth witnesses, whatever you want to call them, the 12B6 motion to get them all removed from the federal civil case. There were some documents attached. Also attached to, remember, we also talked about my case against Massachusetts State Police, which of course is the buffer zone and turning that into the First Amendment zone. There was a document in there that, let me see if I can enlarge this, that was describing what they called the protest zone. The protest zone. Okay. So here,
this is the document. This is the document.
This is what they put in there.
Okay.
This is the courthouse, the red dot. You walk 6 minutes. Right here, about this point here is like the pastry place I go and the Dedham's Pizza. You walk further down here into this parking lot area, and then to the far corner of the parking lot, let me see if I can bring it into focus here, is the area that right here, there's the parking lot, and in this small corner, it's actually this corner up here, this little triangle, pointy part, that's the area, that little area, 6-minute walk away, was the one designated as the peaceful protest zone for the Karen Reed trial. I mean, you might as well be, in some other state. So,
right, exactly.
I mean, that was never talked about. It was never advertised. There was nothing. But in the Massachusetts State Police paperwork and their preparation for this second trial, that was their plan. I never heard a word about it until I looked into those documents.
Well, you know what? I can't wait to have your attorney, Mark Randazzo, back on to talk to him about a number of things. Obviously, Southwest Airlines, his case in Las Vegas, where a judge tried to keep the press out and then have prevent them from writing what they wanted to write. And of course, your case, the most important thing on our docket here at Justice Served TV. And that reminds me, please like, share, subscribe, notify, and comment if you could. And then when we end, you can go to your mobile device if you have one, and you can go onto it. You can scroll and hit something called hype, and that gives us points and gets us into the algorithm and all sorts of stuff. So, Michael Bryant, you had to drive up. We are covering a trial, well, not trial, hearing tomorrow. So I thought in your honor, I would, hopefully you can get some donuts tomorrow. Here's some Dunkin' Munchkins, Valentine's Day Dunkin' Munchkins.
I love the Munchkins. They're addictive, though. Very addictive. Do you get the variety, or do you get? I see you had the one where there were sprinkles. Do you get all sprinkles? This
is all Valentine's Day, and see, it's all pink. It's all for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
I thought that since we haven't seen Joey in a while, and he's normally in the Triangle of Terror as opposed to in Boston in Pemberton Square, right? That near the courthouse. But I'm hoping that you can find something to eat and maybe some Dunkin'.
I'll probably be fine, and it is not hard to find Dunkin' here. I'll tell you that. So as we know, it began where? In Quincy. I'm going to go by there one of these days, just because then I can say I was there. It's like being at the first McDonald's, you know. So what we thought we would do is, because it's been so long in the making, is take a look back at the case that created the reason for tomorrow's motion to recuse Robert Cosgrove, the special prosecutor. He was removed from one of the cases as a result of conflict, and this conflict arises out of a series of allegations between Aidan Kearney and Lindsey Gaetani. Okay, she accused him of some dastardly deeds, I'll put it that way. He then filed a defamation claim against her for that, and then Lindsey Gaetani answered the defamation claim, but also filed a counterclaim to bring in what you would think of as third-party defendants at this point. Well, one of those folks was Robert Cosgrove. That created
the special prosecutor,
who, by the way, you know, we have, and I just got this just off the wire. We have been approved for streaming tomorrow by the new judge.
Yay! So exclusive.
We'll have some form of that on our site, and we're going to collaborate with, because only one streamer can do it. I don't know if anybody else put in the paperwork like I did, but it's approved. So, and I'm sure there will be commercial and normal TV there as well. I think there will be options. We'll just happen to be one of them. We'll just go live at 9-ish. The hearing's at 9:30. It'll just be a slate. And then we'll just feed that in and let it roll. I doubt I'll be popping in and out because I'm going to be in the courtroom.
Right. And
then
that'll
I'll be doing the interviews afterwards.
And that'll be shown on YouTube. And I think we'll be streaming it on our X channel. At the same time, so people can find it easily. But if you've gone on X, please come back to YouTube and subscribe, like, share, and notify. I have, unfortunately, a meeting out of the office, and because this was supposed to be last week, that I couldn't put off. I will try to get back by 10 o'clock or 10:30 and hopefully catch up with you then. If not, we do have tomorrow night on Friday night a live 6 p.m. show on what happens in court. Will Robert Cosgrove be booted? Will corruption win? And he stays on the case.
We shall see. I don't know if we will see tomorrow. You know, Belezos, we don't know if he is a, nobody in this operation has been all that decision-making from the bench day of kind of judge. They've been taking everything they call it under advisement here. California, they would say under submission. What do they say in Jersey? When they take a matter and they don't decide from the bench, under advisement.
Under advisement,
yeah. I think that's an East Coast thing. So it's not to be taken under submission out west.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we see.
Just like we have certifications, and you have what, affidavits?
We have declarations.
You have declarations. That's right. In New York City, New York has affidavits. We have certifications. You don't need it to be under a notary. So your declarations don't need to be under a notary either. I don't.
Right.
think.
Just under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of whatever it happens to be that you're doing it. So wacky laws, same thing, but just worded differently in different states. So what we thought we would do is look at the underlying action that brought Cosgrove into this this mess. And I don't know if people have seen this before. It, was filed in September. I'm sure Aidan has gone over it in great detail. But I hadn't really seen it in a while. So let's do that, shall we?
Let's do that. This is exciting. A paperwork, right? I love it.
And I'm actually, with only one screen, I'm doing my best to manipulate this thing. Might even be able to make it grow just a touch. Now I'm really pushing my luck here. Hold on a second. See if I can make it just a skosh bigger. There we go. Okay. Of course, then I was going to make us a skosh bigger too. Hold on a sec. I almost hung up on us. Almost turned us right off.
He points out the link for tomorrow's streaming at 9 is already set up on YouTube, although it may not go live. You may jump on beforehand, but then you have to get into court and getting to
and I've got to set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going in, setting up, bringing the stream in through our platform, which I'll have with me. And then that's it. I mean, I just once we get it up and running, maybe I'll do some shadow puppets in front of the lens at some point just for fun.
But it takes you, for everyone understands, when you were at Dedham, the courthouse was right there, the courtroom was right there. You're going to the 8th floor. You're going to go through security up Suffolk. It's a big courthouse. It's in Boston. It's huge, so it's not as quick and easy, and so you have to allow more time. So just so everyone knows.
Yeah, and that is the plan, so just to get it done. So I will not be jumping on to bother you. So again, here is the formal answer and additional counter defendants, including the Medfield Police Detective, the Massachusetts State Police Lieutenant Brian Tully. He's in everything, and of course, Special Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove, and also Jason Broyles, not with the Special Prosecutor's Office. Just happened to lump his name in there. Okay, so. Basically, when you file something like this, she's filing both her defenses to the answer to the complaint, and then separate allegations related to the third parties that she's filing a counter claim against. And again, in some states, California, we called it a cross complaint. I think counterclaim is in the federal court as well, right? And this is federal court, but I think some states also call it a counterclaim, not California. What do you call it in Jersey?
We have a counterclaim. We have a cross claim. It depends on what it is.
Okay.
She's now a defendant, and she's if you're making a claim against another defendant, it's a cross claim. If you're making a claim against a plaintiff, it's a counterclaim.
Okay. In California, they're all just cross complaints. Just tightens up the number of language barrier issues.
Right.
Okay. So remember, when it's a federal complaint, it is verified, right?
Right.
And so every paragraph, you need to either admit it, deny it, explain it, whatever. We're not going to get into all those details because I don't want to. I want to get into more about why she brought Cosgrove in than her feeling that she should not be held accountable for the defamation.
Now, does everybody know who Lindsay Gaetani is in relation to Aidan Kearney?
Well, we'll learn in some of these facts unless you want to lay that out.
Well,
let's just say a former relationship. Can we say that safely?
She's a former relationship, former girlfriend, I guess, friend.
I don't know. See, I don't know if I'd go that far. And I think part of that characterization and the events between the two is really the subject of her allegations against him and this defamation suit. So this gives us some of the backstory. On October 14, 2023, Kearney sexually assaulted Gaetani. The assault began at Mick Morgan's bar in Norwood. I've not been there, where Kearney engaged in a non-consensual sexual contact, which he has described in colorful terms, I will say. While driving Gaetani from the bar to her home in Medfield, Kearney attempted to force Gaetani to perform oral sex on him. Gaetani fled Kearney's vehicle on an active roadway, whereupon two passersby intervened and attempted to rescue her. Kearney prevented those two passing motorists from assisting Gaetani, forcing Gaetani back into his car, and then transporting her to her apartment, where he engaged in further non-consensual sexual intercourse while Gaetani was impaired and unable to consent. Kearney recorded the encounter without Gaetani's knowledge or consent at the time. Kearney's actions.
By the way, can I just interrupt you right
Yes.
now? Gaetani is actually tweeting about all this stuff as we are on the show, and Aidan is actually on there talking about all this stuff while we're on the show. So we're trying to give you the facts as they are, not what's going on right now.
Yes. And we won't get into all of this detail, but we'll keep going a little bit of it. Gives you the backstory that leads to Cosgrove's involvement, because he is involved directly with some of this information. He wasn't there that night. No. That's a different story. Kearney's actions during the drive, preventing rescue and forcing Gaetani back into the vehicle, constituted false imprisonment, as Gaetani was confined against her will without legal justification, causing her fear, humiliation, and physical restraint. Did I mention that she filed this pro se? Did I mention that? I probably did.
No, you did not mention that. This is pro se.
So obviously,
pro se means by herself without an attorney.
This could be, Chat GPT for all I know, but I've seen worse from licensed attorneys. 10, as a direct result of the additional incident, Gaetani has incurred further medical expenses, therapy for trauma, suffered increased reputational damage, e.g. fear of public disclosure, endured heightened pain and suffering, flashbacks, anxiety, and incurred legal expenses. One of the keys to defamation is injury to your reputation, and the comeback is always the same. How could you injure that person's reputation? They've always had a horrible reputation. You can't injure that. That's always the comeback. On December 14, during an interview with Lieutenant Brian Tully and a private investigator, Mr. D.G. Gouva, it sounds like a French compadre I should have there, regarding Gaetani's knowledge of Kearney and another matter, Gaetani first reported the assault. Lieutenant Tully urged her to file an official report, but Gaetani declined out of fear of retaliation. That gets to what you were saying early on, that she said, I'm not going to file. Was it really because of fear of retaliation? Who knows? On December 22 of 2023, Lieutenant Tully and the investigator served Gaetani with a grand jury subpoena, unannounced. Ooh, footnote. See Exhibit D, which I don't have Exhibit D. Sorry. I'm guessing it would be the subpoena. On December 22, 2023, Kearney was invited to Gaetani's home after Gaetani received the grand jury subpoena. Now, that sounds odd, doesn't it? He'd be invited there after all of these allegations against him.
Right. That sounds odd.
Related. So she wants him to come over to talk about the subpoena related to him and Karen Reed. Kearney declined that invitation. During that day and into the morning of December 23, 2023, Kearney began a series of harassing communications towards Gaetani. Kearney sent Gaetani highly sensitive judicial documents and made other implied threats until Gaetani provided information to Kearney. Then Kearney told Gaetani he would visit her the next day, which would be December 23rd. On the morning of the 23rd, Kearney asked Gaetani to install the Signal Messenger application, an app that Gaetani understands is used for the purpose of encrypted communications. Kearney, after those series of messages and attempts at coercive control, appeared at Gaetani's house, demanded to see her phone, threatened retaliation if she testified before the grand jury, or refused to comply with Kearney's demands, took notes from her phone, wrestled her for the notes, and pushed her onto a couch. During the exchange, Kearney told Gaetani that she could legally delete all information on her phone because no preservation order had yet been served by prosecutors on Gaetani. When Gaetani asked Kearney what she should do at the grand jury, if asked about the deleted information, Kearney told Gaetani to say she did not remember when asked those questions. Kearney then offered Gaetani a lawyer and said he would be willing to pay for it to, quote, help, end quote, Gaetani. However, in the same breath, Kearney informed Gaetani that he could not trust her any longer, as she had spoken to the police, and in turn, Gaetani would only be permitted to meet with the lawyer with Kearney present. Gaetani declined all of those offers from Kearney. On December 24, here the next day, Gaetani reported assault and battery and witness intimidation to Lieutenant Brian Tully. Tully then called Medford Police. Medford Police then called Gaetani and informed her that they would be visiting her apartment. At that point, the Medfield Police took a police report. A BOLO was issued, be on the lookout for one Aidan Kearney, and an emergency restraining order was sought by Gaetani and granted on Gaetani's behalf against Kearney. Day after Christmas, Kearney turned himself in and was sentenced to 90 days in jail due to a sustained finding of Kearney violating his existing bail conditions on the December 2023 felony charges. That's right. So he went into jail Christmas time, just after. January 8, the original restraining order issued on the 24th of December was extended for a further term of 1 year. Gaetani testified before the grand jury February 1st and 22nd. On the 23rd, Kearney was released after 60 days instead of his initial 90-day term due to statutory limitations, and indicted for witness intimidation and illegal interception of oral communications, basically a wiretap thing. In February, Kearney violated the restraining order and was charged accordingly. Around February 28, Gaetani was summoned to Medfield Police regarding a false accusation by Kearney that Gaetani wiretapped him by recording sex without consent via home security cameras. During the interview, police demanded to see all intimate videos and photos on her phone. Well, that's because, that way, no nudes yet. Proctor was doing his job. Anytime they have a chance to see these things, they're looking. All intimate videos and photos on her phone of Gaetani and Kearney, which she provided under duress. In explaining examples of Kearney's own secret recordings, Gaetani described the October 14, 2023 assault, along with 2 other occasions on which Kearney had recorded Gaetani during a sexual act. Gaetani mentioned that the recording from October 14 stood out due to the events of that night. Gaetani then described the events of the night of the 14th to the Medfield police officers. At that point, police paused the interview and informed Gaetani that what she had just described was a sexual assault. Gaetani begged them not to pursue charges at that time due to fear of retaliation, including Kearney's threats to release intimate videos prior to Massachusetts revenge porn law. We're very familiar with that now, although this law does not apply ex post facto. What does that mean?
This law does not apply in the past. In other words, you can't make a new law now and then have it apply retroactively.
Gaetani was never charged with wiretapping. In the following days or weeks, Gaetani informed her victim advocate and Medfield police that she had changed her mind and wished to cooperate with the criminal process against Kearney for the sexual assault. I think that waffling back and forth really waters down an alleged victim's claim. It just, true or not, when you go back and forth like that, you go, really? Are you just mad now? And last week you weren't? Gaetani also provided video and text message evidence to the Medfield police. The police confirmed receipt of the evidence and Gaetani's desire to pursue charges, but provided no updates. On October 13, now we're actually very close at this point to the first Karen Reed trial. I can't remember the exact date it started, but it was in this ballpark. Kearney publicly announced on YouTube, it cites to his episode, that Medfield police were investigating him for rape, calling it a lie. This was the first public mention of the allegation initiated by Kearney himself. On August 8th, an individual using the alias Haley Walbrecht, later revealed as Jason Broyles, acting on Kearney's behalf, that lapsed into my Cosgrove there, called him Kearney. Kearney's behalf posted Gaetani Files Part 3 online, including an unredacted confidential police report of Gaetani's sexual allegation. Looking at 9 exhibits. Okay. The Gaetani Files was a multi-part blog series created by Broyles for the purposes of targeting Gaetani on behalf of Kearney. The post was explicit and graphic in nature and contained lies about Gaetani, mischaracterized the events, and falsely claimed police concluded no rape occurred. This was the first time that Gaetani had been exposed for the details of her own, I keep saying this R word, and I'm sure YouTube is going to go kooky and have to look at it.
I know YouTube is going to not push this out because of the content. I know.
Yeah, so I'll try not to say the R word again. On or about 2024, yeah, because why? I forgot to mention that we are the best kept secret in true crime. I forgot to mention that off the top. Okay, on or about 2024, and prior to releasing the unredacted sexual assault report on or about August 8, Jason Broyles posted a series of blogs and videos titled The Gaetani Files Part 1, Gaetani Files Part 2, on his platform, which targets Massachusetts audiences and aligns with the objectives of Kearney's Turtle Boy Daily News and the YouTube channel, as to targeting Gaetani with false and defamatory statements that, in turn, incited Broyles and Kearney's audiences to engage in large-scale harassment campaigns against Gaetani. So you got the guts of it, okay?
That's a lot of guts. Okay.
It's a lot of guts. Well, I think this thing is, I want to say 80 pages. I haven't looked in a while. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, 87 pages, this whole thing. We ain't going through all of them. We're here to kind of lay the groundwork and then say tomorrow's hearing is about the removal of Special Prosecutor Cosgrove. Why? Well,
Because
I'm about to tell you.
Look,
But you needed that back. You needed that. Oh, because he, well, he's in conflict with her. But why? We're going to get to why there's a conflict.
Okay.
Because at this point, okay, he's been named. All right. But doesn't really explain
He's
the
being
conflict.
sued. He's being sued, right?
He's being sued.
But he's being sued by her.
But you kind of need to know why. It's important to know why. What's the connection through the lawsuit? And I think when you see that, I think I put a bunch of yellow on there so I wouldn't get too lost on this. Scrolling alert, because we ain't going through 87
There's a
pages.
lot more that we haven't talked about with regard to this, with regard to trying to make Aidan Kearney violate the restraining order. That wasn't done. There's just so much underlying here in this relationship and this action that now involves Cosgrove. Because she sued him. And the question is going to be very interesting, Michael, Bryant.
Yeah. So, can you properly represent an action against somebody who is connected to a lawsuit in which you're a defendant?
Right.
Right. Sherry Schreiber, thank you so much.
That sounds, and by the way, Sherry lost her brother-in-law, I believe.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Was it your brother-in-law, Sherry, or your brother? Whatever it is, your brother-in-law passed away. Brother-in-law passed away. Sister-in-law passed away about 16 months ago. Sherry, we express our condolences, and we are very, very sorry.
And we are glad to see you back, and our prayers with you and the family. That's tough. So I've yellowed here the parts where Cosgrove's actually mentioned, so that we can get a sense of why he was brought into this action. So Gaetani only went public to counter Kearney's lies about her as a fake victim after he disclosed the allegation and spread the report and out of context cropped texts that contained sexually explicit messages. Let me see. Back and make sure I missed something there. Okay. So that's the basis for one of her arguments. But why Cosgrove? Here we go. Despite the active investigation and confidentiality requirements, Special Prosecutor Cosgrove improperly released Gaetani's unredacted sexual assault report to Kearney and/or his attorneys as part of the discovery in ongoing criminal proceedings against Kearney, which without redaction or protective measures. This release violated Massachusetts, blah, blah, blah. So I did find it ironic that in a state, and especially a county like Norfolk, where it is pulling, the literal teeth to get discovery, here they are just releasing stuff that they shouldn't have without some sort of protection.
But they won't release things they should be releasing. And we're finding even in the Karen Reed trial things that weren't released that should have been released. It's like endemic.
It is. And I do like some good irony. Unfortunately, there are some victims of this particular irony. So that's in a nutshell why she's bringing him in. I think she gets into a little further detail about that. But that's the key. It's like this stuff was given to you in your role as part of the district attorney's machine in confidence to help pursue this action, not to be released to other litigants without some sort of protection, either redaction or, because we've seen redacted, or in camera, sealed completely. What do they call it in this part of the world? They call it
sealed.
Yeah. What do they call it?
Well, usually it's sealed. The federal court in this part of the world is sealed.
They call it impounded. Right. They call it impounded.
Yeah, impounded here. They call it impounded here. In federal court in the East Coast, it's called sealed.
I think most everywhere it's called sealed. Yeah, they like impounded.
And the funny thing about the impoundment here is that the only people that can't release the impounded documents are Aidan Kearney and his team of lawyers, Tim Bradle and Mark Federer. But most of those documents are out there and have been released, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's the issue. And again, I will point out that Aidan Kearney is my client in the New Jersey case, and we have added Mark Federer to our team of lawyers because you never know what pops up anywhere in any of these cases.
So Aidan seems to attract that kind of attention. So now count 5 of this counter suit is negligent infliction of emotional distress. Again, Cosgrove is targeted, as is Tully, as in Haldeman, who is the the Metro cop. They owed Gaetani a duty of care to protect the confidentiality and well-being as a sexual assault victim. Obviously, she says, anytime you have a negligence anything, there's a duty, and it's been breached. That's going to be the argument. In this case, they breached that duty by disclosing that material without any sort of protective measures.
And here's going to be the interesting thing, because the state has to say, look, you don't recuse him, because you know, she didn't actually bring the complaint. It was the state police or the local police, or it was anybody, law enforcement, who brought the complaint on her behalf, and she didn't really want to bring it. Therefore, she has no standing really to say, you know, there is no conflict here, is basically what it is.
That'd be interesting. And remember, she did have second thoughts, apparently, for whatever reason, and then said, no, wait, now I want to help you pursue it. So I don't know about the timing of all of that as it relates to the material that was released. I don't know. Right.
Who knows? And that's the question. What is the truth? What isn't the truth? You know, Aidan, when you go after people that are either in the state police or you go after powers, anyone will tell you power goes back after you. And that's an issue.
Yeah, especially in this part of the world, it appears. So count 8 is going to include Cosgrove. This is for abuse of process. Kearney, Cosgrove, Haldeman initiated or facilitated legal processes, discovery, release, wiretapping complaint with ulterior motives. I think they're just stupid. I'm not sure there was ulterior motives, but they got released. The ulterior motive, she says, was intimidation, enabling public disclosure and without proper cause or safeguards. Yeah, I've seen these Keystone Cops in action for too long now. I don't know that there was any bad intent in releasing it. I think it was probably just stupid.
Or they just wanted to get Aidan Kearney and make the public hate Aidan Kearney more. And
even if it took her down in the process,
even if it took her down in the process, because all they care about is getting Aidan Kearney, and that's really the argument.
Yeah, that's despicable. Count 10, violations of Massachusetts Civil Rights Act. We're right back to the Civil Rights Act.
Here we go again. That primer that we had on the House Defendants, go back and listen to it. Let me see if I can find it, because it will tell you about all of, well, I can't. It's still in members only, but it'll be released to the public this week. You could all see it, but we go through all of these concepts.
Again, there's the phrase, the three of those folks, Haldeman, Tully, Cosgrove, acting under the color of law, interfered with the Gaetani's rights under the Massachusetts Declaration, privacy, due process by threatening, intimidating, or coercion, including improper disclosure of the confidential material. So it's a very small core of operative facts. You know, it's the release of this material that leads to all of these claims.
Yeah. Could I make a correction here? Fan of Truth is right. It wasn't Gaetani with the issue of the state, being a state police officer and the drugs. That's Genduso. I got a little bit confused. I'm going to retract that. I would completely retract that. Okay. From here. Matter of fact, you may want to take it off before you republish this, if that's a possibility. I'm calling on Dizzy, who says, bingo, Linda, and take that off and retract it. It was Genduso. That was a different G's.
Okay.
Oy vey.
Yes, I'll give you, that's an innocent mistake, not intentional. I think there may be one more cause of action here. Bingo.
And while you're looking, we do have a question. Alden T63. Aldante. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're the
Linda,
Italian.
I know, but I'm having trouble reading this far away. My computer's a little far away right now. Linda, after a while, how many times can the judge keep advising the prosecution sanction, never do anything, as long as they want? It drives lawyers crazy. As long as they want.
Yep.
And Dizzy, I'll need your help just removing that part of my description from this episode when we repost it, if you could.
Okay, well, this is Lindsay Gaetani's affidavit. I don't remember if I found anything in here that, I guess I do, because there I marked it. September 5, I sent presentment letters pursuant to Massachusetts general law to the town of Medfield, Detective Haldeman, the Massachusetts State Police, Tully, Norfolk County District Attorney, Prosecutor Cosgrove, to satisfy the requirements of the Massachusetts Tort Claims Act. Oh, yes, this is a good lesson. Time to make a note. This will be on the final. Tort Claims Act. That, oh, go ahead. I'll let you give your definition.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you
basically, whenever you want to sue somebody that is either a government entity or somebody acting on behalf of a government entity, you have to exhaust administrative remedies. And that means you have to present your claim to the government entity, get it denied, which they always are, before you can file a lawsuit. So what she's saying here is she did that. So she satisfied that, which she had to do before she filed the lawsuit. Did I get that right, Professor?
Yes, you got that absolutely right. And different states have different and different entities, different requirements. Sometimes it's 90 days. Sometimes it could be 6 months. Sometimes it could be 90 days extended to 6 months. Sometimes you have to, like in New York City, you may have to, if it's against the city, you may have to file within 30 days. I mean, it's kind of like a trap that if you don't file these pre-lawsuit requirements, then you can't file a lawsuit. And people get caught in that all the time.
These are some of the exhibits, and they go into great detail about the drama, the soap opera that is the back and forth in this relationship. So I will leave those to folks who want to dig into the dirt to whatever degree they want. We're staying above that. We just want to mention that Cosgrove is on the hook now because he did what he did, and that was released the materials. The fact that they're salacious in nature makes it more interesting, but doesn't, and they could have been the most boring thing in the world. But they were given to him with some assumption he was going to keep them confidential. So I'm just kind of scrolling through here a little bit just to see if there's any that I picked up on. But that's why it's 80 some pages. A lot of it is these exhibits.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we got. And for those who haven't seen this, it's out there. I know that a lot of our folks online that spend ungodly hours finding documents, posting them. God bless you. I'm pretty good at ferreting out something if I need it. But man, there's a lot of stuff going on that if it weren't for some of these folks spending the time they do, like Kyle Sharkey, they wouldn't see the light of day. So
tomorrow, what's going to be the actual issue? The judge has heard argument, I think, already. And could he allow Cosgrove to stay on?
Oh, he sure could. Sure, he could decide however he wants to get there that there is no true conflict. I would like to see the hoops that he jumps through for that, because remember, in this legal world, we're bound by not just an actual impropriety, but the appearance of impropriety that creates some sort of conflict, or the appearance. If it smells like a conflict, you want to distance yourself from it. You don't want to maintain that level of connection, because as it moves forward, it's unlikely to get better, more likely to get worse. And then what could happen? Okay, let's say he stays on the case. We got two options. Stays for tomorrow's purposes. This is not the motion to dismiss. This is just recusing Robert Cosgrove. He stays on the case. It goes forward. Crazily, there's actually a trial, which would be bizarre. And again, these are on the witness intimidation cases that remain against Aidan Kearney. They have a trial. Whatever happens in that trial happens. You've got an immediate appellate ground, and that is failure to recuse Cosgrove from the case. So that'd be number one on your list for appeal if there was a conviction. Or he removes him. Now you're back to the same situation they were in when they got rid of the third of the three cases, not in order, but of the three. There were three then. Now there are two. Cosgrove was kicked off because of a conflict, and they had nobody in the prosecution office to take it over. And we already know the AG's office refused to indict on any of these things anyway. We could see that happen again. We could see that there's nobody to fill in for Cosgrove, and then they're dismissed. Yeah, that wouldn't all happen tomorrow, but over time it could happen.
Well, the judge could just let it go forward, as you said, because he doesn't want to delay the trial. That's a possibility.
Yep. And I think if I were on the bench, if I had my robe on, the thought in my mind would be, knowing about the cases as I do and how weak they are and how bad they are, I would roll the dice. I would say, as I'm the judge, Mr. Cosgrove, it's a close call. Got to say that, right? It's a close call, but you're going to stay on the case. It's going to go forward. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, there's no way there's going to be a conviction. There's no way. And if there is, the appellate ground that I've just talked about, this conflict, is a winner.
Because Cosgrove has told the judge that if the judge removes him from this case, he's removing himself from all the other cases.
Yes, because he said he didn't. I mean, who are you to pick and choose, pal? I mean, it's the right thing to do. Get your ass off of all of them, but to suggest to the court that, well, is that like some sort of veiled threat that, hey, I'm not going to do any of these cases if I can't do this one that's now before the court?
Yeah. Did say that. Did say that. By the way, KC, thank you. KC1125 gives the One Justice Serve TV membership. Thank you very much. To get one of these free memberships, you have to be a subscriber. So subscribe, like, share, and notify, and then hype afterwards. It's already been given out. Somebody is the generous recipient of the generous donor, and that you can thank KC for this, KC1125. Also, we have Popcorn Drawers, new members. Thank you for joining Popcorn Drawers. New member, thank you very much. Please look at our members only content. Aidan Aldante 63. Please do a question phone line. I was thinking about that we should do.
I saw that Will Valera had been doing that.
Yeah.
We have no idea how, but we can check into it.
We're going to check.
We're challenged enough as it is.
That won't be anything we're looking at until March. We have so much on the docket coming up.
I don't know. It could be February. February starts Sunday. Hey,
I know, but we're going to be away for a week in February.
Just a week.
And we already have things already planned.
I found a way to come up with the answer for tomorrow. It's as good as any. The magic 8 ball. Okay, so give me pose your question.
Who will take the lead argument?
I can't get names like that. I have to have. This is
Oh, okay.
Magic
Sorry.
8 ball.
Yeah.
What's it going to say?
All right. Well.
Wait. It says Vetero. No. So you want to know how will the judge recuse
Cosgrove?
Okay. Let's see what we got here. It says, stand by. Hold on. I have to turn it around. It always floats upside down. My reply is no.
Oh,
so,
wow. That's very
obviously,
interesting.
the Magic 8 ball thinks, as I do, that it's just going to be allowed to move on.
I could see that. I could see the judge saying, because it would affect all the cases, I'm going to let it move on, and maybe, maybe we'll do some of the other cases first, and therefore we may not even get to the issue of whether or not there's a conflict. But the conflict arises because Aidan could call Lindsey Gaetani as a witness. You could call her.
Of course, and then Cosgrove is then cross-examining the woman who's suing him.
Right. That's it. To put it in a nutshell. By the way, cross-exam. Let me just put this up. This is Linda. I saw your awesome husband on MDI webinar. He's great. He gave the podcast a shout out. Oh, I didn't know that.
What's the deal? Why don't you check with him? Make sure
wow,
he's giving us the pub we need.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad, because we need all the shout outs we can get. We can get all the shout outs we can get. Okay. So anyhow, Dizzy says that that in her reading of everything that Lindsey could be used in all of the intimidation cases, and therefore they'd all have to go away. But we'll see. I mean, I have seen crazy rulings and crazy things in this case, and in the Karen Reed case, and in Massachusetts, and everything. And so have all of you. So we never know, do we? But I do apologize. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking that we were talking about Jim
You got your G's mixed up there.
Yeah, because I know we were supposed to talk about that, and then I got what can I say? But we're gonna cut that. We're gonna cut that at part of the episode out. So
just another great use of my hard-earned taxpayer dollars. That's the worst thing about it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the people here are just paying through the nose, and they ain't getting much for their money.
Yeah. Okay. So tomorrow at 9:00, if you see this episode goes down for a while, we'll be back up as soon as we make those cuts. But tomorrow 9:00. All right. We will be streaming, but we won't be on the stream. The stream will be open probably around 9. When the court goes live, it'll also bring you all the parties and all and everybody. Michael Bryant will be doing also interviews, post hearing interviews.
Is Will in?
Right?
Will, are you in Australia? Where are
well,
you?
No, Will's coming up to the hearing. Microdot's Richie is Microdot's going to be at the hearing.
He just says good morning, so I just wondered where he is when he said good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Will, you're going to see Michael, I think, tomorrow, right?
Well, if he's there, unless I can avoid him. The Helen, what the bleep 8 ball. So she is not happy with the 8 ball's decision.
Well, but we're going to prepare you for it because it could happen. It could happen, and we want you to know why it could happen and what the effect would be. Okay, so I think Will is going to be at the hearing. I think you're going to see everybody. It's going to be like Old Home Week. It's going to be like
it will be. We're getting the band back together.
Yeah, the band is going back together, and the glare is already in Boston. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Okay. By the way, thank you for. I had that little mistake here today because I was thinking about something else to talk about. You're brilliant on all the information swarms. You are fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for saying that. Will, make sure Michael stays on the straight and narrow. Okay.
That reminds me, as I'm there at the waterfall, I'm looking out the window at the corner where we were broadcasting that night. When Will stopped by, we had talked earlier in the day. He stopped by and said, "Yeah, I'm going to meet Aidan over here at McCarthy's," and that was hours before they had a couple of drinks, and we're performing in front of the pizza joint, which became yet another witness intimidation claim. So it all
the first time we met Will, right? You met Will in the registry of deeds, and then really. That was our first, and you honored him. You talked about that all night, but you didn't mention his name. All right,
that's right. At that point, now it's all out there, obviously.
That's all right. Yeah. So
he was identified in the complaint as the friend. I think is how it was described.
And of course, one of the things that we asked him then is that has Will ever been questioned about that incident? And previously he hadn't. I don't know what the new.
No, I don't know either. Will, have you been questioned since we asked you that question last time? I'd be shocked if it was yes, but we're trying to find out. So
yeah, we're trying to find out, and I'm sure we'll have an interview with Will tomorrow. Hopefully, an interview with Aidan. Hopefully, an interview with Bradel and Vetero, and then we'll see who we can get to come on the show tomorrow night. No, he has not.
What a shocker!
What a shocker! Will,
hey, I'm glad. I will take Will's presence up here as a sign that your foot is better, dude. I hope that's what that means, because you're gonna have to be running around all the time, running.
Yeah. That's it's a different courthouse. And if someone asked how many seats, those courtrooms are very large. Having tried Hernandez for weeks in the criminal courthouse up there, and that in Suffolk County Courthouse, they're huge. There's a lot of people that fit into those courtrooms.
Unlike, and it is room 808.
So it's somewhere on the 8th floor. Yeah.
I hope it's on the 8th floor. The folks in the Northeast, they got some weird numbering systems. I don't take for granted it's on the 8th floor, but
I like that courthouse. I like the courthouse across the way.
Maybe that's because you had a good result there.
Maybe
you like the courthouse.
We also got treated well by we got into our brawls with him, but we got treated fairly well by the judge. Even though we got into our brawls with him, he did respect us. And when we brawled with him, he respected us brawling with him. And that's all I will say.
Good. Yeah, I think that's good. A judge should be that way.
And that's why, by the way, just so you know, why are we in Boston? Because judges rotate up there. They rotate different courthouses. Okay. And that's why you'll see some. Where were you? You were in.
Well, I've been in Plymouth and I've been Essex. I've been in Norfolk, those 3 counties. Interestingly, with Belezos, we're here in Suffolk County. This case is venued in Norfolk County. He is normally seated in Plymouth County.
Right.
So that's but
they rotate.
They're moving around.
Yeah. And you're better off. I mean, it's much easier for everyone to get to Boston and all. So
I thought when they chose him, this guy's, been at it forever. But 2022, he took the bench. So interesting.
They say you'll hear a lot of wicked smart.
Well, that's what I hear. And we saw him once on the Zoom. We saw him on the Zoom. I just want to see if he has wicked balls. That's what I want to see to make a decision. That's what I want to find out.
All righty. It's been quite a night on this show. We will see you tomorrow. At least Michael will see you tomorrow morning. If I get back in time, I'll try to pop on. If not, I will see you at 6 o'clock. But he got to stay tuned to Justice Serve TV because he's the one who's going to have the interview. Show us that microphone again, Michael.
Oh, yep.
There you go.
This is
There's
what the agitator uses. This is my weapon as the agitator.
Right. I'm sure you will do a great job. And we thank everyone for joining. Please like, subscribe, share, and notify. And also hit that hype button after
if you can
finish.
find that, hit that
if
hype
you can
button.
find it. And as I said, we may take this episode down just a little bit, or back up soon, and then come on and comment because you can get us into the comments. We did the one thing that we weren't supposed to do today. We were told that we shouldn't mention like quadruple the M word
for the
or the
Canaro
R
case.
word
Oh,
and all and all that for the first 30 seconds, the bots of YouTube they apparently don't like true crime. I don't know why. I mean,
I find that ironic that
ironic.
One of the reasons we started doing this is because we're not constrained by some of the things we were constrained, at Law and Crime, or I was at Court TV or some of the other places. And yet those little things, the bots come down on you hard. It just
on your heart. So
once again, ironic.
Ironic, yes. All right. So we will see you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on what? The best kept
Justice-
secret in true crime.
Justice Serve TV.
Have a great evening, everybody. Please try to do the right thing.
Baden flames, they charge with mine.